My dear friends, welcome back. Today we reflect on when plans fail, how God helps us. Life has a way of unraveling our best laid plans, doesn't it? We dream, we plan, we pour our hearts into building a future we think we can control. I know many of you, like me, have felt the sting of those plans crumbling, maybe a dream shattered, a heart broken, or a moment when you wondered, God, do you even see me? I've been there, and I feel the weight of that question with you. But let me assure you, beloved, God sees you. He's never stopped seeing you. And even when life feels like chaos, God is weaving a story of redemption, love, and purpose behind the scenes. You might be a planner, someone who thrives on organizing every detail, juggling a million tasks, and checking off lists with pride. I get it. I've been that person too. But life, it has a way of interrupting. Sickness comes, jobs are lost, relationships falter, and suddenly, the roadmap we drew for ourselves is torn to pieces. In those moments, it can feel like suffering, like God Himself has turned away. I remember the first time my plans fell apart. I wasn't happy about it. I wrestled with God, asking, why? But over time, through tears and prayer, I began to see something beautiful. God's hand was in it all. When I turned to the Bible in my desperation, I found peace. The more I read, the more I prayed, the more I saw that God wasn't absent, He was working. His heart toward you and me is always good, always loving, always faithful. Even when our plans fail, His never do. The Bible is filled with stories of ordinary people, people like us who faced heartbreak, waiting, and uncertainty. Yet God was always there, moving in ways they couldn't see. Let me share 7 of these stories to remind us that God is writing our stories too, and His plans are far greater than ours. For Abraham and Sarah, God was working through the ache of waiting. Oh, how hard it is to wait, isn't it? To pray, and feel like heaven is silent. Abraham and Sarah waited decades for a child, their hearts heavy with unfulfilled promises. Yet, in Genesis 12:16, we see their faith hold firm even through the pain. God was with them in the waiting, and at just the right time, Isaac was born. If you're waiting today, friend, God hasn't forgotten you. He's working, even now. For Moses, God was working through the sting of rejection. Moses thought he was ready to lead God's people at 40. But instead, he faced rejection and fled to the wilderness for another 40 years. Can you imagine the loneliness? Yet, in Exodus 1:5, we see God was preparing him in that desert, shaping him into the shepherd Israel needed. If you faced rejection, take heart, God is redeeming it for His purpose. For Joseph, God was working through the silence of suffering. Joseph's life was a roller coaster, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly, forgotten for years. He could have believed God had abandoned him. But Genesis 39:2 tells us, the Lord was with Joseph. Even in the silence, God was orchestrating a plan to save Joseph's family and a nation. At the end, Joseph saw it. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. If you feel God is silent, trust that He's still working for your good and His glory. For Job, God was working through unimaginable loss. No one suffered like Job, losing his children, wealth, and health. Yet even in his questions and grief, Job didn't curse God. He brought his pain to the Lord, and God met him there. Job's story reminds us that we don't suffer alone. We may not get answers to our why, but we can cling to the who, a God who loves us and is always in control. For Ruth, God was working through the ordinary. Ruth's life wasn't glamorous. She was a widow, scraping by to provide for herself and Naomi. Yet, in the book of Ruth, we see God use her simple faithfulness to weave a story of redemption. Through her ordinary acts, God restored a family and placed Ruth in the lineage of Jesus. Your everyday faithfulness, dear one, is never wasted in God's hands. For Esther, God was working through providence. The book of Esther never mentions God's name, yet His fingerprints are everywhere. What looked like coincidences were God's perfect plan to save His people through an ordinary girl and her uncle. If you feel God is hidden, read Esther's story and know He's moving even when you can't see it. For Daniel, God was working through prayer. In Daniel 10:12, an angel tells Daniel, "From the first day, your words have been heard. Your prayers, my friend, are never in vain." God hears every cry, every whisper, and He's working through them to fulfill His purposes. Life will disappoint us. Plans will fall apart. But hear this: God's redemption always prevails. When you feel unseen, when your heart aches, when the future looks dim, God is still writing your story. You are part of His bigger plan, a plan that stretches beyond what you can see. So hold fast, keep praying, keep trusting. The God who was with Abraham, Moses, Joseph, Job, Ruth, Esther, and Daniel is with you too. His love never fails, and His plans for you are always good. Let's rest in that truth today, together. Amen.